Elon Musk put out a quote that's got some people talking, some people stirring. That's nothing new. That's what Elon Musk does. I don't know if you're aware of that. He said, China rocks, exclamation point, which not a lot of people in the U.S. are saying right now, as we've been talking about on this show.
China rocks.
And the U.S. not so much. Here's the exact quote. China rocks, in my opinion. The energy in China is great. There's like a lot of smart, hardworking people, and they're not entitled. They're not complacent. So, and okay, first of all, I understand this is maybe not the most popular opinion in the U.S. Actually, I believe this interview gives us our data. Yes, correct. Unfavorability toward the country is at its highest level since Gallup and the Pew Research Center began recording such data in the 1970s. So they gather data on sentiment, American sentiment for China, and we're at some record lows right now. So it's fair to say that this is not the most popular position that Elon is taking here. I think before we go any deeper into this subject, it's important to note that he has partnerships in China. He has a gigafactory in China. He sells Teslas in China. Mm-hmm. Very important stuff. We can't. He's also done presentations on artificial intelligence in China. Mm-hmm. He also talks about SpaceX in China. So we can't leave that piece off. But then we can move into the next piece, which is the criticism. He says, I see in the United States increasingly much more complacency and entitlement, especially in places like the Bay Area and LA and New York, pointing to the two states that have helped boost his business. It's important to note the same states he's saying are complacent and entitled are the hot spots for purchasing Teslas. Like, you don't want to alienate your customer base, but I suppose it's possible that the two things could exist in tandem. You could be a Tesla customer and also be entitled. It's not impossible. He also may be talking about the really recent history. He may be saying this is a relatively recent development, but I will at least go with him in the sense that things are happening in China. There's a certain energy in China. I feel that. I've been there and had a similar experience. There is a lot of activity. Now, I was in Shenzhen, and that's sort of the hot spot for, and this was a little while ago. It's important to note, this was before COVID and all that. But I mean, everything is a startup. Everybody is making something.
Yeah, they're producing.
Everybody is involved with some industry over here, and there's just so much stuff being made. At the lowest level, the smallest operation, all the way up to the biggest operation, there's a kind of an electricity to the idea of things being made, of a maker kind of society. And that's, at least where I was in China, that's the vibe that I got. And I think that's probably what he's speaking to. Now, granted, did he speak about it the right way? Are people going to be happy about that? I don't really know. But he's also a guy who, like I said, has a vested interest in China rocking, if it means more Teslas or more plants or more factories. But you could wage the same argument here that people were suggesting against Apple, saying you're complying with this political stance that we don't agree with, right? In the sense that he has complied with China's rules in order to do business there.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't seem too political. I guess what this quote, at least the way that I see it, is like the hardworking, everyday people, you know, and maybe that's just what it is. Maybe he's just expressing like China's hardworking.
Right. He could be talking about the average citizen
collar.
instead of the political structure.
Yes.
It's totally possible. Yeah. You know, the way I look at it, I often try, you try to see both sides. Yeah. And you try to go down the middle, and there are advantages and disadvantages. I agree that it's a very hardworking environment. Absolutely. Yeah. There are good things about the United States. There's good things about China. That's just being honest. Yeah. That's just seeing it as best you can, trying to see both sides. No place is perfect. And I totally understand the apprehension around doing business in China as well.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite sentiment of his. So nonetheless, he's making news with his tweets and his interviews. And Elon is just hot right now. It seems anything he says. He could say his stock is too hot. People invest in it more. He could say his cars are too expensive. People buy them more. He could say space is too far. People become more interested in SpaceX.
Yeah.
The internet doesn't reach far enough. Humans are not smart enough. They need Neuralink. It doesn't seem to matter. People are on the Elon Musk train, and I don't blame him because he's another example of that. He's a guy getting things done.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. You can't argue that.
No.
You cannot argue whether or not he's getting things done.